I always say that the best thing about consulting are the people that you work with. You're always working with the best, pushing each other to learn more, do more, be more, and go even further. Which is why I'm very excited to be able to go through these conversations with some of our alumni who've gone on to even greater success beyond their consulting career, and learn from them about the high points, the low points, the achievements, the wins, and the lessons that we can all take and apply in our future journeys. Ashish Labroo, welcome to Unscripted.
Thank you, Careem.
You're the CEO of Careem Rides, and I have to say thank you because I arrived in a Careem Ride
this
morning.
Happy to know you are a Careem.
So you have a customer as well as a member of the same community.
Great to know.
All right, so interesting journey. This is what we're here to talk about.
Yes.
Somebody who started with a stint in operations and then went on to consulting for around 12 years.
Yes.
And now you're the CEO of Careem Rides, and you started on the operation side of Careem Rides. So take us a little bit through some of the lessons you've learned on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you. Thanks for the invitation, Careem. It's very happy to be here. The journey specifically, I'll start with Careem, which is the most recent one. So I've been at Careem for 7 years now. It has been absolutely an amazing journey. If I go back in time, I'll do it 10 out of 10 times. So at Careem, the journey actually started with operations, as you mentioned. Specifically, I started at Careem heading up the customer service division. And I think customer service division gave some fascinating insights to how actually business operates, right? Because it gives you an outside-in view of the business, right? You get to see what kind of experiences customers are having when they go to the app and book a ride and they actually take the ride. You also see what kind of experiences the captains are having who are actually driving you around. And you get to see what's working, but more importantly, what's not working, right? Because as customer service, then you have the ability to take all of those insights back into the organization and make sure that those things get fixed. So the customer service part of my operations role at Careem was absolutely fantastic. In fact, budding executives, leaders, I always encourage folks to at least do a stint in customer service or spend some structured time with customer service because the insights that you get is like absolute gold dust. It also comes with a lot of fun because even today when I meet my friends and family, those who have just taken a Careem ride, obviously I always fish for compliments that, hey, the ride was great, the car was clean, it was on time and so on. But obviously in the physical world, things do go wrong. So people also come and talk about stuff that didn't go well. I had a close friend of mine frantically calling me the other day, and I called him back. I was like, hey, is everything okay? And he tells me that, hey, I was just on a Careem ride. I was actually on a call with my AirPods on. I didn't realize. I got off the car and I left my AirPod case in the car. So I've already logged a complaint, but I'm like getting frantic. So can you help me? I was like, yeah, of course. Calm down, you'll get it. And yeah, of course he got it within an hour. So customer service actually came with a lot of these stories and a lot of fun. So customer service was a good part of the first part of my journey at Careem.
Let me ask you just a little, because this is, I mean, I know you did a stint at GE at the beginning of your career.
Yes.
How long was that for?
GE was close to 4 years.
Okay, so you weren't unfamiliar with operations and so on, but it wasn't a customer type setup.
Yes.
But then you did consulting for so long, and then you're starting at customer service. So must have been a bit of it's a different setup. It's a different environment. You're going from strategic thinking, analysis, and so on to, I've forgotten my iPods in the car, and I'm not happy. So, did that take some adjustment at the beginning?
Look, so I think,
did it come naturally to you?
No, there was actually, fortunately, operations was kind of a common thread, right?
Okay.
So if I look back, start of my career at GE, that was very operations heavy, right? And this was back in 2001, 2, 3. That's how old I am. The operational experience at GE was very rigorous because it was a time you did a lot of Lean Six Sigma. I was working on the shop floor. This was a time when ERPs became a thing and you had started to automate and digitize processes. So the GE experience was hardcore operations. Also during consulting, although when you do consulting for 12 years, you do so many projects, you do strategy, you do post-merger integrations, you do org stuff and so on. One common thread on operations actually remained. Even at strategy, and a lot of my work was part of the operations practice. A lot of my work was in operations. So starting at Careem in operations, in that sense, it was not that big a switch. But when I actually started my operations role at Careem, I at that point had a very nice skill set, and I think that is also one reason that there was very good fit was I had worked at GE, so I had seen like hardcore shop floor type of operations, and during the consulting experience, I got the consulting skill set. So I think the combination of that, having the consulting skill set and having done operations, actually I think set me up for success as I took in.
When you were in customer service at Careem, did you do things like actually answer calls, or did you drive around in a car and?
Yeah. So we have had a very structured approach on how we did that, right? So for a lot of executives, we actually created these opportunities for them to actually listen to calls.
Yes.
We would always do spot checks on looking at some tickets randomly or doing root cause analysis on certain topics. We had a pretty big forum where we would actually look at all of these defects that we hear from customer service in terms of complaints, and then we would actually programmatically figure out where the defects would lie and what do we need to do to kind of fix them from the root cause. So there was a big program around how you have all of these customer service complaints, calls, tickets, and how you actually convert them into insights.
Okay, so as you said, operations all the way throughout, so that's something that came to you naturally, but then you became CEO. So how do you see this distinction in your career from being very operations focused to then becoming a CEO? What new things did you have to learn, or?
No, so yeah, I mean, of course, customer service operations, first part of the journey. Second part of the journey is my current role as I head the ride-hailing business at Careem. It's a learning curve, right? And what I've realized is that you're always on the learning curve, right? there's never a moment you have arrived and you say, I have it figured. And I think at least that's what the mindset should be. So for me, coming on to this role where I'm actually responsible for the business, looking at the P&L, I think the learning is around how all the different parts of the puzzle come together, right? You have to think about strategy. You have to think about the direction in which the business is going. You have to think about products and services. You have to think about operations, obviously. You have to think about marketing. You have to think about growth. So it's a more the 360-degree-ness of the role is what's fascinating and what's keep me excited about waking up in the morning and going for it. The learning still happens. Even when you set the strategy and directions, there's so many things that are changing around you. I think the ability to adapt and pivot is always important. But moving from operations to head of business role, as I said, the 360-degree nature of it, and how you see different parts of the puzzle coming together is truly fascinating.
As with most alums that we talk to, it's never a journey that's in one geography or in one business or type of role. And you're the same, born in India, grew up in India, then you went to the US to study industrial engineering.
Yes.
Then you had started a job in the US with GE. Then you joined Booz, now Strategy in Washington DC. Then you moved into the Middle East and to Careem. So it's always interesting for me to understand the shifts. What motivated these shifts as you went along?
Yeah, I wish all of this was by design and it was all well planned, but
don't worry. That's not true. For most people, that's a clear theme.
Yeah.
Some people are more deliberate in their moves than others, but
exactly.
It always seems to be clearer in hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, I think in many situations I stumbled upon some stuff. Obviously, some stuff was still by design. I mean, sometimes you have to let the universe also do its job. But yeah, in terms of these shifts and the motivation. So starting with. I finished my engineering in India. Going to the US for my master's, from an education perspective, was important to go get a master's degree and so on. The choice for industrial engineering was interesting. I think two parts to it. Since I got admission into Georgia Tech being a fantastic school, industrial engineering #1 and so on, that part made a lot of sense. Industrial engineering was also because I felt this is one field which will open the widest variety of jobs after I graduated.
Very pragmatic.
So very pragmatic. Because I mean, I had taken an education loan to go to the US, and the home where I grew up was on mortgage, so I had to land a job, right? So I think industrial engineering was a combination of Georgia Tech, fantastic school, but also because I felt this is how you maximize your chances of landing a job, which I did with GE, where I spent a few years, fantastic experience, hardcore operations, shop floor, so that was great. Now, everything was going well. I was in Atlanta working at GE. A colleague, great friend, mentor of mine, had done consulting in his past life, and he came and told me that, look, you're very young, and it's great what you're doing at GE, but there's this thing in consulting where you can do different kind of projects, you can be in different sectors, you go to different places, and from a experience perspective, it'd probably be like quite rich for you to go and explore. So that thought stayed with me, and then the other thing that happened was some of my friends from Georgia Tech. So I joined GE. Some of my friends actually went to consulting firms. So one thing was they were getting paid more. So I was like, okay, consulting is definitely more lucrative. And also I would see that every Monday morning they would fly to a different city, expenses paid for, living the life. I was like, okay, you know what, this. So I got these two points together that, hey, the experience looks like in consulting is actually richer, and you can also be richer monetarily, and then you can have an interesting, good life. So which is when I decided that I should try and get into consulting, and that's when strategy, and back then this was 2006, Booz and Company happened. At that time, it was the operations practice, because at GE, all of my experience was operations, so it kind of made sense for me to be in the operations practice.
Ashish, we might use you in our recruitment drives. Just go tell all these young students, come. It's a great career.
Exactly.
You make a lot of money.
Exactly.
Don't tell them about how much hard work they have to do, though.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's what got you into consulting.
That's what got me into consulting, and
what took you to Washington, D.C.?
Again, I think the choice was not for career; it was actually for love. So when I got the strategy and offer, it could have been New York, Chicago, and Washington D.C. And in relative scale at that time, operations practice-wise, New York and Chicago were bigger offices. Washington D.C. was much smaller. But my now wife, then girlfriend, fiance, was actually in Washington D.C. So that's why I chose Washington D.C. over. So it was not a career choice.
It's very romantic way to choose for somebody who's in operations.
It is exactly.
You don't always follow your head. Sometimes your heart.
I know. This was a choice for the heart. So
is that still the case?
Yes.
Do you still have choices for the heart these days?
Yeah. Still. Yeah. Oh, you have to balance it out, right? So some is head, some has to be heart. Yeah. So Washington D.C. was a hard choice.
And if she's your wife now, obviously.
So it worked out well. Yes, exactly. Paid off. Good ROI, right? So that's when I joined strategy, and Middle East was not on the radar at all, right? So because we were in DC, we got married, everything was okay. At that time, Booz here in Dubai was the game in town, and more projects than the staff that was available. So a lot of staffing used to happen from outside offices. And one such opportunity came up for a project in Saudi. It was a 3-month project, and I thought, okay, fine, let me do it. So obviously in DC, I came down here for just that 3-month project, worked with quite a few people here, and then went back. A few months later, I get a call from one of the partners who I worked with, and he tells me that, hey, would you want to move to Dubai? Because you worked with us, we liked you, there's a lot happening in the region. He knew that my family was still in India, so the pitch also was that, hey, you will be closer to India, it's tax-free, and so on. And actually at that time I had written my GMAT, I was thinking, maybe I should also get an MBA. So I told him openly that, hey, look, I'm actually thinking about an MBA, I'm not sure if going to Dubai is the right time. And then he said, look, we have a MBA sponsorship program. And we have this executive MBA program between Dubai and LBS. We can give you a sabbatical for a bit so that you can do some of your coursework on the campus. And it's a sponsorship program. Of course, we choose like one consultant a year, so you will still go through the process. And I felt, that probably could be a good thing. So
There's a very clear financial basis for decision
and-
making
and-
beyond love.
on this one it was. To be honest, it was also for us it was still a revolving door decision, because we felt that we could come to Dubai, try it out. If for some reason it didn't work out, we could take the next step or probably go back to the US.
And you've been in Dubai for
18 years since then,
18
right?
years.
So we came in 2007.
It's a very wide revolving door.
Yes,
but
yes,
still
exactly. Yeah. So it worked out well. So we came here, started or continued at Booz and Company. Year later, actually, got sponsored. Went and did my MBA. Got a short leave for study. Finished my MBA. And I think those days the love and support that I got from many of the strategy and colleagues was like just unbelievable. Funnily, I mean, so I got sponsored, and the sponsorship program actually funded 75% of the tuition fee. Actually, I didn't even have the remaining 25% to pay from my pocket. And one of the Booz partners, close friend and mentor, Fabrice, he actually lent me the remaining 25%. That hey, you go get your MBA. So great memories from that time, and kind of the support that I got from the firm was fantastic.
It's a common theme, the bonds that build between people who are working together in consulting and strategy. And we hear it all the time from alumni. And does it still persist now? Are you still connected to other alums? Are you?
With some, yes, but obviously the alum body has also expanded. You can always do more in these things, right? You can always be connected with more people. But yes, some, but not as much as I would love to. But this is a great way to reconnect as well.
Yeah, you might get a lot of blasts from the past after they see
looking forward
this
to
conversation.
Looking forward to that.
All right, so then that brought us to Dubai.
Yes.
Dubai went well, and then the shift to Careem.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think consulting was 12 years in total. There was always this aspiration to go back to the corporate world or the startup world and so on. And I think this whole consulting toolkit which I developed, plus the operations experience I had from GE. So I think that combination also made me feel that hey, this can be applied to many other places. And then the Careem opportunity came out.
So as you said, none of it was a plan going forward, but it's sort of you reacting. Do you think are you somebody who's more open to possibilities as they come up and opportunities, or was it an influence of close friends? What do you think is the link between how you took these decisions?
Look, I think you really have to have an open mind for the opportunities to actually come in front of you, because if that doesn't happen, then you don't even know what's out there. So the common thing people say that you should try and open as many doors as you can, and one door leads to another thing, and another leads to another thing, which is how it happened. So I think it has been a mix of choices by design. So education was a choice, consulting was a choice, but how it actually manifested is a bit of choice and a bit of kind of randomness.
I identify with that very well. So thank you for making me feel better about how I make choices as well. You mentioned the consulting toolkit a few times. Yes. If we think about it, what skills that you took in consulting do you still use every day?
Yeah.
And the flip side, are there things that stuck with you in consulting that you had to undo when you went into?
Yeah. No, I think core consulting skills of being comfortable walking into unfamiliar, ambiguous spaces, being able to structure problems, thinking about the solution spaces, thinking about optionalities in a very messy and rigorous ways. I use the word messy after a long time today. And coming up with what the right answer is, articulating in a way that everyone understands, and then kind of seeing it through. So I think this whole journey is what in consulting you do in every project, right? And you do it with much more intensity, in much more compressed time, under a lot more pressure, right? So you get very well trained for this. And I think this toolkit, I think most ex-consultants would say this who have gone on to do other things, is that you generally don't then remember as much about the content of all of these 40, 50, 60 projects you did in consulting, but actually what remains is the method that you applied, which actually becomes second nature. And this is applicable to any industry. This is like a very core general consulting toolkit, which I still use today, right? Now, in terms of what I don't use or less of from consulting into the outside world is one, I would say, less PowerPoints. So I think consulting, at least in my experience, having done that for 12 years, there was also this thing of you actually are thinking while doing slides and so on, right? So it becomes more than just a medium of delivery. It almost becomes like a thinking partner. So that probably kind of is undone to an extent. I mean, we still use PowerPoints, but you have to be okay with vertical documents, memos, whiteboard, conversations, and so on. So that's probably one.
Another colleague that went to Careem as well told me that after his first week, they took him aside and they said, "Okay, we love that you're doing a lot of thinking, but just fewer slides."
Exactly.
So they wanted the systematic aspect of consulting. That was good, but not the way it was.
Exactly. So I think this will be true for most consultants who actually want to do something else. Is probably less PowerPoint. Second is less suits. I'm wearing a suit after
you felt obliged to wear a suit for us today.
This was actually, I was thinking about it. I don't obviously wear this on a daily basis, but I thought since we are walking back the memory lane, talking about consulting strategy, I was like, I should probably less for the, at least I lost the tie. So less of suits. One thing, not in terms of undoing, but I think different is that in consulting, obviously, you do manage teams, but they are smaller, and it's somewhat a homogeneous group of people with some commonalities on capabilities and pedigree and so on. At least in my experience, I went on to manage very large teams that were much more diverse in terms of educational qualification, where they were, their backgrounds, and so on. So I think you really need to build your muscle on people leadership in a much different way when you step out of consulting.
One of the strengths of Careem is its ability to remain very relevant at the local level in terms of all the different places it operates. And as you know, from outside the region, everybody looks, MENA, they think we're all the same, but clearly we're not. We're different countries, different people, different habits and cultures and so on. What is it that you do as CEO of Careem Rides that allows you to stay in touch with this local level? Because Cairo is very different from a Riyadh, very different from a Dubai.
Yes. No, so I think it just comes down to the belief. I think that's the mindset we have. Whenever we are thinking about any new product and service, whenever we're thinking about, hey, what are we doing next, we actually think about how are we solving local problems, right? And local problems for us, they're actually not at a country level, they're actually at a city level, right? So in Dubai, I want to go to a concert. I don't want to bother driving myself, finding parking and so on, but I need a car for like X hours, right? So that's concert rides, the thing we did. If you're a parent in Dubai, for some reason the school buses are not your convenient option, but you want somehow an option where you can actually have some sort of a package on a monthly basis, back and forth for your children to be picked up, dropped off. We have school rides, right? If you in Saudi, if you show up in Medina, and if you want to go and see the beautiful historical sites there, you can actually have a car and a captain for X hours taking you around. If you're a student in Kuwait or Iraq, looking for some sort of a reliable yet affordable package for X number of trips to go back and forth to the university, we have student rides there, right? So if you're looking for using the local Dubai taxi on the app, we have Hala, which is our joint venture with RTA. So I think the thinking behind all of these products and services have been on solving for local problems. Of course, the basic product is for people to commute from point A to point B, but I think what we try to think about is use cases around it, which are very specific to the people in the city. So it comes back to to the belief of wanting to try to solve for local mobility problems.
And how did you get up to speed on all these different markets and different cultures and different customer behaviors when you started?
Look, I mean, first of all, we have, given our footprint, we have actually teams on the ground. So we are in that sense very, very close to the action. We operate in Iraq. We have a team in Iraq. We operate in Kuwait. We have a team in Kuwait. We operate, of course, here, Saudi. So we do have local teams, and the local teams are the ones that ground up actually get what the specific nuances are, what's happening actually on the streets, and what kind of use cases can have merit.
Yes.
Nobody can sit here and dream up about doing like a tour package for Medina, right? I mean, it has to be the team from Saudi who actually know, hey, there is a use case there. So all of those insights actually come ground up, and then we have central teams that look at structuring it and productifying it and taking it back to the market.
Okay, Ashish, I'm going to use you for an experiment today, because normally we have these conversations. Yes. This is something that you need to show us your quick thinking on. Okay. So we've decided to do a quick fire round.
Okay.
Just to try to get a sense of different things, different ways that you're thinking, and different parts on your journey. So I'm going to go through these. You answer them sort of what first thing comes to mind without a lot of need to think about them. Okay. So if you look back at your journey, what is one gamble or something that at the time felt risky that you took that in hindsight has paid off?
Coming to Dubai.
Why?
Because we were in the US at that time. Actually, we didn't have any affiliation for the region. We hadn't been to the region. Me and my wife, we were just newly married. So coming to Dubai in that sense was a bit of a punt. As I mentioned, it was kind of a revolving door thing, which never revolved. But it felt like things were going fine. We were in the US, so coming to Dubai all of a sudden was at that time a bit of a chance we took.
Okay. And this might be the same answer for the second one then. So if there's one decision that, depending on whether you had taken it or not taken it, your life would have diverged completely, would it also be the choice to come to Dubai, or is there something else?
Actually, quite a few of them, right? Because I think
what's the biggest one?
I think the first one, going to the US and studying at Georgia Tech. If that wouldn't have happened, I don't know what. I mean, things would have been like very, very different. That kind of set the path of, studying in the US, getting that kind of education, opening doors at GE, which kind of further opened doors. If it wasn't for that, I think a lot of things would have been structurally drastically different, I feel.
I think as strategy, and we also have to thank your roommates for showing you the attractiveness of the consulting lifestyle. For us, that was the thing. That exactly. You wouldn't be sitting here today.
Exactly. Being able to fly every Monday to a new city, and then hiring different types of rental cars every week, and meals paid for. Yeah, those were good days.
All right. If you think of yourself, your younger self versus now, in terms of how you thought about leadership, what is one belief that you had about what a leader is that you've changed over time?
I think nothing substantial that I was like, okay, I think leaders should be like this. It turned out no. But I think over time, my belief in what effective leaders should be, that has been reaffirmed also through my journey in consulting, and also at Careem. And what I mean by that is, as effective leaders, what do you do? I mean, you do two things. First is you set the right path. The right path, of course, there can be like twists and turns because things change. You need to have the ability to adapt and pivot at scale and quickly, right? So setting the right path is one. Second, you need to have a team. You need to have the right team which is operating at its best version, right? And if you get these two things right, then magic happens. And this for me, going back to also my evolution from different roles to my role today, I feel this probably is kind of the core effective leadership.
So it's held.
Philosophy.
It's held through.
Yeah, this has held through, and I think this is something which is applicable to any leadership role, any function, any industry, any geography, right? Because this is really basic. So yeah, I mean, different way of answering your question, but I feel that over time, I've landed with this thinking on what effective leadership actually means. It has become clearer in my head because I've kind of seen it. I wouldn't have that clarity on what this means, like in my younger self.
Yes.
I wouldn't even actually know what leadership is. I would just kind of do a bunch of random things. But
Yeah, I
over
don't know
time,
many
this is-
20-year-olds who sit and think, oh, what are the true qualities of a leader? You're right.
Exactly, but I think today, if I look back, I feel at least in my head, the definition of effective leadership and what I have seen, at least that has worked for me based on my learning, is what I just described.
And when you think about, you're even a consultant, so clearly metrics, and you work in a data-driven business as well. What's a personal metric that you apply to yourself? How do you measure yourself or where you've reached or how well you're doing?
Very impressed by one statement Jeff Bezos made in something that I watched, is that like leaders should judge themselves by the number of high quality decisions they make. And I felt that was, I think that was super insightful and super true, because as leaders, you have all of these kind of decisions that you have to make, things that come up to you, and in how many of them you actually end up making high quality decisions, right? I mean, things may go right, things may go wrong, but with whatever data you have at that point and whatever instinct you have, you actually take a decision. So I heard this a few years back, and I think it has stuck with me. That's how I would think of it. So end of every day, end of every week, if I was to reflect, I would kind of think, okay, what happened this week? These are the 10 things that came up, and do I believe in at least 8 of them? high quality decisions, and how can I take that to 9 and 10?
What about at a personal level?
At a personal level, no specific metric. Actually, at a personal level, why do you need a metric? I think you should just probably live in the moment, be happy, do your best, and not overthink it.
I think in my world, I think it's my wife and kids that tell me if I'm doing well at the personal level or not.
feedback loop. No, but I think look, I mean, I think in the personal space, we play a lot of roles. I mean, as a father, as a brother, as a son, as a husband, and as a friend, so on and so forth. And I think in all of those roles, if you're like being like genuine and kind and nice, doing the thing, and I think that's what all of us aspire to do.
Okay, we've talked about the successes along the way. Is there something that didn't work out, some failure somewhere along the line that actually became a big lesson for you and changed how you go about things?
In all humility, I can't.
I'm
think.
perfect.
No. Far from perfect.
I've put you on the spot with this one, so it's okay. No, but take your time.
No, but look, I mean, we spoke about all the shifts and the motivations and
Yes.
what happened. I'm sure there were always like better versions of it or better options, but honestly, once something happened and once I was into it, I didn't have regrets over anything. So maybe that's why.
Part of your character.
Probably. So I didn't register any of those other options, which at that time looked very greener. And since I made my choice and moved on, I don't think I carry a baggage of that, which is why I'm struggling to think about a failure, which doesn't come across very humble, but
but it's a good way to go through life, just moving forward.
No, but look, I mean, having said that, it's not that everything is like absolute hunky dory. There are always challenges, but I don't think there is a massive failure which I would think weighs me down.
How do you relax?
I meditate.
You meditate. How seriously do you meditate?
How seriously? Look, I try to do it every morning. It doesn't happen, but if I land 4 to 5 days a week, I'm happy. It's not a very kind of long. It's like 20-25 minutes. But yeah,
I'm terrified of meditation. I can't bear the idea of just being quiet for 30 minutes and with my own thoughts.
Okay, you should try the 10-day silent retreat.
Have you?
It will set you up. Yeah, I did that.
10-day silent retreat?
Yes.
Did you actually last through the 10 days?
Yes, it was very hard. It was very hard.
Would you ever do it again?
Yes.
What did you take away from? What did you take away from that?
So I think so I did this a few years back. It was in like one monastery up in the mountains in India, 10-day retreat, silent retreat, of course. So of course you don't talk, but more to it, right? Because you cannot take any gadgets, you can't even take a book, you can't even take a notepad, and you can't even have eye contact, right? So it's really you and yourself for those 10 days. On top of that, the regime is pretty strict. You have to wake up 4:30 in the morning, then you meditate, then some breakfast break, then you meditate, then some.
So it sounds like a nightmare to me.
It's it is tough. It is hard. So it is like 10 to 12 hours of meditation for 10 days straight, and you sit on the floor and you sit straight. So it's tough, and you rightly said. I mean, a lot of people do not last 10 days. So there's a batch which would leave first day. There's a batch that would leave like 3 days, 5 days, and then some people who last for the 10 days. But I think it's probably one of the most beautiful experiences I've had. As tough as it was, because when you come out of it, right? I think the calmness is just amazing, right? Because it just reboots you, and the calmness it gives you is like massively unprecedented. And you can actually see that, you know, if your emotions, good or bad, are a bit spiky, when you come out, they are, you know, much more normalized. So that was phenomenal.
You're a stronger man than me.
I did it a few years back.
And I wouldn't be the ones who left on the first day. I wouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah. No.
Interesting.
It was interesting experience for sure. Yeah.
Let's project a little bit into the future.
Yes.
2035. There's a headline about you. What would it say?
Oh gosh. That's a tough one. I honestly, I don't think so much. I'll be lying and say, I know exactly what I'm going to do 10 years from now. I know that would be a lie.
What would you like to be known for 10 years from now?
I would be like to be known for someone who cared for people, something at very basic human level, actually. Going back to this whole kind of meditation thing as well, I think one key takeaway for me, and it's a personal thing, is what spiritual leaders, religions, and all of these meditations that teaches you is default to kindness, right? We all have a spectrum of choices that we make when we react or respond to situations. Can we at all times default to kindness? Do we, right? And if we did, how nice a place the world will be, right? So out of those spectrum of choices, if you kind of default to kindness, most of the times it's always a good thing, which I think is also kind of a core philosophy. So
we could use a lot more of that in the world.
Exactly, in today's time. So I think for me, if I'm known for someone who kind of tried a lot to default to kindness, I think because that would be my attempt. And it's not that you have to do it in your personal life. I mean, there's this thing about, hey, when I go to work, I'm like this. When I'm home, I'm like that. I don't think why that dichotomy is necessary. I mean, you could be the same person. Of course, at work, there's a bit more of formality and there are a bit of boundaries, and all of that is great. But you don't have to be drastically a very different person, right? I mean, you can default to kindness at work, you can default to kindness at home. So yeah, if there's one thing, if I would feel people should remember me for, is probably that. And even as a parent, if there's one value, if I was to choose for my kids to have, is actually going to be kindness as well.
Ashish, it's been great to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure.